where at least I know I'm free. And I won't forget the men who died, who gave that right to me. And I gladly stand up next to you and defend her still today. But there ain't no doubt I love this land. God bless the USA. Thank you. Wow, that was a nice place with the best sound system. I don't know who did. Sounds like the finest opera hall in anywhere in the world. Let's come back here more often. So often you have sound systems that aren't the greatest. And there's nothing worse, making a speech when nobody can hear you. This is beautiful and great place. And Memphis has to like me, because I have a lot of friends here, and they were not happy a year ago, 2 years ago, 4 years ago, and now they said, we can't believe what's happened in terms of crime, in terms of what's gone on, and the job that these people and some of the great people, many of the great people in the audience have done. And that's why I'm...
Went off. Everyone, we're watching Trump do this speech, and sorry guys, I just woke up. But yeah, watching Trump do this speech on his roundtable in Memphis. So
great people, many of the great people in the audience have done. And that's why I'm here today. In fact, we were going to cancel because we have a couple of events going on, as you probably noticed. So they said, oh, we'll cancel Memphis. I said, we're not canceling Memphis for anything. We're not canceling. We're not going to cancel Memphis, but we do have some big things happening, and very positive, I have to say. So before getting to our important discussion this morning, let me provide a brief update on Operation Epic Fury, which is a very good name, as it turns out. That was the name. They showed me 20 names. Sir, what name would you like? I didn't like any of them. And then I get toward the end, I said, you got to be kidding. What? Operation Epic Fury. I love that name. And it's very appropriate for what's taken place, if you know, in Iran, because we knocked out their Navy, we knocked out their Air Force, we knocked out their anti-aircraft, we knocked out everything. And we did it with fury, actually. As I announced earlier, based on preliminary conversations between the United States and Iran over the past 2 days, I've directed the Department of War to temporarily postpone planned strikes against major energy and electricity targets in Iran. They have very, very big, new, actually, and very expensive, billions of dollars it costs to build them. One missile, one of our powerful ones, and it comes down to the ground like it was made out of dust. But to determine whether a broader agreement can be reached, we've had very good discussions, very, very good discussions. And you have to understand, I know my whole life has been a negotiation, but with Iran, we've been negotiating for a long time. And this time, they mean business. And it's only because of the great job that our military did is the reason they mean business. They want to settle, and we're going to get it done, and I hope. So, hopefully this will be possible, but no matter what, we'll ensure that Iran never obtains a nuclear weapon. They can't have a nuclear weapon. They would have had one if we allowed the Obama deal to stand. That was the Iran nuclear deal, they called it. They would have had one. Marshall III. Well, I tell you what, Martha, we would have nuclear weapons up there when, would you say, 2 years ago, 3 years ago, or 4 years ago? We would have been in a position that nobody wants to be in. We won't allow ourselves to be in that position. Over the past 3 weeks, the United States military and our partners have been decimating Iran's military capabilities with overwhelming firepower, skill, lethality, and force, and we're destroying their ballistic missiles and drones programs with launchers down by more than 90%. We're hitting their launches at a level that nobody even thought of before. 90%. They can't launch them, and they don't have very many of them, because most of them have been annihilated. But we've annihilated their defense industrial base, eliminating their navy. We had 158 ships at down. I said to my people, why didn't you capture the ship? I said, were they good or not? They said, they were great, sir. So why didn't you capture it? We could have used them. They said, it's more fun to put them at the bottom of the sea. But they're not there anymore. So we eliminated their navy, Pete, right? And that's gone. We eliminated their air force. We eliminated all of their air defense, everything. We eliminated everything there is to eliminate, and we eliminated them. We eliminated their leaders. We had the first set of leaders. They're gone. Then they met, 88 people met. And it's sad. I mean, it's sad they couldn't have made a deal. We could have made a deal with them a long time ago. Then the second set, 88 people met to pick a new leader. And they're now extinguished. And then they're meeting again. But now nobody wants to be the leader. It's one of the few political jobs that nobody wants anywhere in the world. Nobody wants it. It's a very dangerous job. My job is dangerous too, but their job is worse. In other words, we're systematically dismantling the regime's ability to threaten America. They're not threatening us anymore. As Commander-in-Chief, it's my sacred responsibility to protect our country from all threats. For decades, Iran refused every opportunity to renounce its nuclear ambitions, and in recent months, its own negotiators bragged to our representatives about having enough material to make nuclear weapons. And that was supposed to deter me, but it didn't deter. It made me more anxious, and it just made it much more important. This mission that we're all on together was much more important, and we did it quicker. Iran's missile capabilities were also growing so fast that it would soon have become virtually impossible to stop them. Once they have a missile, once they have what they were building was incredible. And you got a little glimpse of it by the fact that when they came out, they started shooting all of their neighbors. Their neighbors weren't fighting with them. They were getting along okay with their neighbors. And I was surprised. Everybody was surprised. And it actually worked in reverse, because their neighbors then turned against them. Now Iran has one more opportunity to end its threats to America and her allies, and we hope they take it. Either way, America and the entire world will soon be much safer and will be a much more secure planet. In addition to all of this, we're working on so many different things. You know, our economy was fantastic. We had a Dow at 50,000. They say it couldn't happen in 4 years. It wouldn't happen during my term. But if I got anywhere close, it would be a great success. Well, in my first year, we hit 50,000. And with the S&P, they said, even more difficult. They said it would be impossible to hit 7,000 on the S&P. And we hit that in our first term. And then, unfortunately, I called Pete, I called General Kane, I called a lot of our great people. We have great people. And I said, let's talk. We got a problem in the Middle East. We have a country known as Iran that for 47 years has been just a purveyor of terror. And they're very close to having a nuclear weapon. We can keep going and get that 50,000 up to 55 and 60. There's no end. Or we can take a stop and make a little journey into the Middle East and eliminate a big problem. And Pete, I think you were the first one to speak up. And you said, let's do it, because you can't let them have a nuclear weapon. So we are now having really good discussions. They started last night, a little bit, the night before that. And I think they're very good. They want peace. They've agreed they will not have a nuclear weapon, et cetera, et cetera. But we'll see. You have to get it done. But I would say there's a very good chance. And it began when I said that we were planning tomorrow on shooting down some of their power plants, and we're going to hold that up. Hopefully we won't have to do it. And hopefully we can make a deal that's good for all of us, including the Middle Eastern allies that have been very good to us, including Israel, that's been a great partner in this fight. They've really been a good partner in the fight. They fought hard. But we'll see what happens. I think there's a very good chance we're going to end up in a deal. And so we're giving it 5 days, and then we're going to see where that takes us. And I would say at the end of this period, I think it could very well end up being a very good deal for everybody. As good as if we went all the way and just literally annihilated the place, which if we don't have to do that, that would be a good thing, not a bad thing. In addition, after the appalling lines and massive disruptions at major airports nationwide last weekend, I'm again demanding that Democrats in Congress immediately end their disgraceful shutdown of the Department of Homeland Security and restore the full funding for airport security and the TSA. They are holding it up because they want to take care of illegal immigrants coming into our country. They want to take care of criminals that are in sanctuary cities. They want to take care of transgender for everybody, literally the mutilization of our children, men in women's sports. But what they don't want to do is give us anything to do with citizenship for voting or voter ID. Can you imagine? We're the only country that doesn't do voter ID. Every country does voter ID. You know, brought to my attention today that we're the only country that does mail-in voting. Mail-in voting means mail-in cheating. I call it mail-in cheating. And we got to do something about it all. And it's part of Homeland Security. And I'm suggesting strongly to the Republican Party, don't make any deal on anything. The most important thing we can have is what's called the Save America Act. Don't make any deal on anything unless you include voter ID, and you have to be a citizen to vote. You have to show citizenship to vote. Very easy to do. It's very insulting when they say people can't do it because they don't know how to do it. Anybody that can't do it, I think it's a very insulting thing to say. The Democrats are fully to blame with the struggle of the great American public is going through at the airports. They're going through a big struggle right now, and we just put ICE in charge, and they're helping TSA, the agents, and they're working together so far very well. I actually suggested that in the airports they take off their masks, and they did that. In the airports, I'm a big believer in the mask because we have, you know, Biden allowed hundreds of thousands of killers into our country. We're rapidly getting them out, by the way. But they would go after these people if they knew exactly who they were. But in the airports, it's different. I didn't love the look in the airport as you get off the plane. So I made a request and they agreed to it. So they're not going to be doing that. We would also bring out, if we don't have enough, we will bring out the National Guard and, you know, where we need it to help out at the airports. But we're not going to let this happen. It's extortion by the Democrats. They're holding up money that's already been approved. And now they're willing to go $5 billion reduction in ICE in order to get the approval on a deal that they approved, the great big beautiful deal, which is the biggest tax cut in history, the biggest regulation cut in history. They want to basically renegotiate a deal that they already approved. And they're doing it largely for a criminal element. So also the Democrats are putting our country at great risk during this period of time, a period that they call a war. They call it a war. We call it a military operation. Their leaders during this time are, as you know, as you want to say, they're in a never land. Schumer is gone. I mean, he's a Palestinian. He should be fighting on the side of Palestine. He's actually become a Palestinian leader. I don't know. I've never seen a man change so much. He used to be pro-Israel. Now he's pro-Palestine. I've never seen anything like it. And, you know, he's worried he's going to lose his next election, which it only depends if anybody runs against him. If anybody runs against him, he'll lose. But he's gone very wacky and very dangerous for our country. But we want all of those things. We have to have them. We want voter ID. We want proof of citizenship as part of our funding. We want to merge them so that we get the great, big, beautiful bill in action, and we can get the America and Save America. You know, they called it the SAVE Act, but nobody knew what the SAVE Act was. So I said, you have to call it, under any circumstances, you have to call it the Save America Act. because everybody knows what that is. So they want funding taken away from the ICE patriots who are responsible for getting rid of the criminals that Sleepy Joe Biden, the worst president in the history of our country, and his gang of thugs in the White House. You talk about weaponization, they weaponize everybody. You know, when Pam looks at somebody, oh, it's weaponization. They've indicted me, what they've done to me and everybody else, it's a disgrace. They're the weaponizers of what they've done to people. We can never let that happen again. We can never let them get away with it again. They are the greatest weaponizers. Fortunately, it didn't work because here I am with you. So it didn't work out too well. Didn't work out too well. But they want to have people come into our country. And so many of these people are murderers. They're drug dealers. They're the worst criminals anywhere in the world. They want them in our country. They don't want them to come out. They make it almost impossible, but we get them out anyway. They should have never been allowed to enter our sacred ground. These people should have never, they came from all over the world. They came from all over. They came from the Congo in Africa. They came from all over South America, Asia, everywhere. And they were from jails and mental institutions. They were drug dealers. They were murderers. 11,888 murders. In any event, the Democrats are being blamed by the American people for the catastrophe going on right now at our airports and at other points of transportation and beyond. And we want the public to know we're not going to let them out of this trap that they created for themselves. And I'm suggesting very strongly that the Republicans, in going for the Save America Act, that you weld it into exactly this, because voter ID is part of Homeland Security. Think of it. We're talking about two separate items, but they're really the same. Voter ID is part of Homeland Security. And citizenship, proof of citizenship, is part of Homeland Security. So I think it should be welded in. I think it should be together. You should vote together, because the public has not liked what they've done at the airports. And they've done it, and the public understands it. They've gotten wise to them. Republicans do not settle with Democrats and let them out of this hole that they've buried themselves in. You have to take the votes in the Senate to approve. You need votes to approve. We have to get Democrat votes. And at a certain point, if you can get rid of the filibuster, it would be great. It would be great. Get rid of the filibuster and get it all done. So we'll get it done. We want another thing. We can, or we don't have to, add those other items. And by the way, they say they're 80-20 items. They're not 80-20, they're 99-1. Men playing in women's sports is a 99-1. You look at transgender mutilization of our children, that's a 99-1. And we have that in the bill too. So they won't sign it. They let the people reject them. And what we have to do is we have to win the midterms. This is the most important election, because all of the gains that we've made, we built the greatest economy, the greatest military. I built the military in my first term, and we built the greatest military in the world. We're showing it now with Venezuela, with Iran. Everybody knows we have the greatest, most powerful military in the world. And we're in a position that we haven't seen. We're respected. You know, our country now is respected all over the world. A year and a half ago, we were a laughingstock. We were a laughingstock. The King of Saudi Arabia told me a year and a half ago, he said, "President, I can't believe what's happened to America. 1 year ago, you were a laughingstock. Nobody thought you could ever survive. Now you're the hottest country." Use that expression. He said, "Now you're the hottest country anywhere in the world." And we are now. Congratulations, because we're all partners in this deal. You're the hottest country anywhere in the world. It's really amazing. So I congratulate you. It's a great feeling, because we were laughed at for 4 years with this guy that should have never been president. So I'm tying Homeland Security into voter identification with picture and proof of citizenship in order to vote. And those two items are the most important thing having to do with Homeland Security. So it should be part of the Homeland security bill. And I'm requesting that the Republican senators do that immediately. You don't have to take a fast vote. Don't worry about Easter going home. In fact, make this one for Jesus, okay? Make this one for Jesus. That's what I tell them. It would be a damn good thing. The most important part of Homeland Security is voter ID and proof of citizenship. Nobody can vote on Homeland Security without voter ID or proof of citizenship. And you can't have Homeland Security without voter ID or proof of citizenship. So we're tying them together. So now, if you don't mind, let's get to the reason why I'm in Memphis and why you're doing so well. Because Fred Smith, everybody know Fred Smith? He was a friend of mine, and he created from a sort of failed report at like Harvard or whatever. He did a business report, a concept he had, that was his thesis, a concept he had to build a company, and it was FedEx. So he gave this thing where he takes packages, he delivers them, who the heck knows what he put down. Bottom line is they gave him a lousy mark. I don't know if they passed him or not, but they didn't give him a good mark. They said, this is the most ridiculous business plan we've ever seen. Fred, go back to the drawing board and try something else, because this won't work. Well, he decided to go for it, and he built FedEx, and it's an amazing story. And he was a very good friend of mine, but he would tell me that he didn't know what to do about Memphis. It was so dangerous that they would have a board meeting, and the board members, they were demanded that they could not walk 1 block to their hotel. You know the hotel I'm talking about. It was so dangerous. And now they tell me this is like an entirely different place. It's like Washington, D.C. In Washington, D.C., we had the same thing, and now it's amazing. It's such an honor to. If only more governors, your governor called, and he said, we love it. Your mayor has been terrific. Your mayor has been terrific. But look at the results that you've got. Look at the results. And everybody should do it. You know, if I were Chicago, Pritzker, he's a failed governor. All he has to do is say, President, we're having a problem in Chicago. Could you come in and fix it? We'd have it fixed in 2 months. It would be good. It would be good in 2 months. It would be great in 4 months. You'd have almost no crime. But he can't do it. And it just keeps going the same way. So that's the reason I'm here, to tell you how well you've done, how well we've done. I mean, I just came in and people greeted me, sir, thank you very much for what you've done. I said, oh, where are you from? Memphis. What did I do? You stopped crime. And your sheriffs are so thankful. And, oh, you haven't seen it yet. You know, we've just been here a short while. In another 2 or 3 months, you can have like no crime. And you know, we take these criminals. Is that our handsome senator down there, Bill? Is that our handsome senator, Bill? You got both of them down, but you're going to have a new governor here soon, I guess, huh? You're going to have a very new governor. Would you two stand up as senators? Please stand up. Two of the greatest people. Two of the greatest people. They never let me down, you know? Some let me down. They never let me down. Thank you. Last September, my administration launched the initiative modeled on D.C. Safe Task Force in our nation's capital. One of the most amazing things, I mean, I hate to say it, now I can say it, but our nation's capital is one of the most dangerous places on earth. People were being killed. They'd go in from Iowa, they'd go from Indiana to see the Washington Monument, and their parents would get a phone call they'd been killed. And it was happening a lot. It was really bad. And like this, actually, yours was at a level higher, to be honest with you. It was really bad. But it was happening a lot. And now you walk down Washington, it's like everybody that sees me in Washington, we've been doing that another couple of months longer. Everybody sees me in Washington, they say, thank you, sir. Thank you. And I immediately know what. You know, they could thank me for a lot of things. I said, are they thanking me for the economy? I know immediately. We have people working in the White House, young women. They walk, I would say normally beautiful young women. Ever since I got elected, I don't like to say that, because usually when you say a beautiful woman, isn't she beautiful? That's the end of your political career. So I never say that. But young women, coming up to me and they're saying, "Sir, thank you so much." I know immediately what they're talking about. I say, "How big a difference is it?" They say, "We walk to work. We were afraid to walk into an Uber. We were afraid to walk into a car. The car it didn't matter. The car was being robbed when we were in the car. And it was much more than being robbed. Being robbed was the least of it. And we took out over 3,000 people. And you know, there's an expression that 90% of the crime is caused by 2% of the population. And when you hear that, you realize why we can do such a good job. We moved 3,000 people out, permanently out of Washington. These were career criminals. Many of them came in through the Biden open border disaster. They came in. They weren't there. They came in. They said, "We want to live in Washington where they'll take good care of us, give us plenty of welfare." And we got them all out. We moved them back to their countries. Sometimes we put them in prison because they were so dangerous. We had one person killed 4 people in a short period of time. Many of the people, 11,888, 50% of them in our country, they came from jails. Other countries opened their jails and let them into our country because Biden and his great border czar, the border czar who never once went to the border, never once called Border Patrol. But his great border, perhaps you've heard her, Kamala. Has anyone heard of Kamala? She was the border czar. That was like having nothing as a border czar. And they poured into our country and they made our country very, very unsafe. And the job that ICE and Border Patrol have done, they don't get the appreciation they deserve. They are great American patriots. They're incredible people. So we brought together 22 federal agencies, state and local police, and 1,500 members of the incredible National Guard to smash the grip of the violent criminals in this iconic American city. The city is incredible. People love it so much, but they're just fed up. They can't stay, and now they're staying. I had somebody backstage say, "Sir, I was ready to leave, and now we're staying." I said, "Don't worry, it's going to get much better. Just takes a little more time." Like our DC efforts, the Memphis Task Force has been led by our Director of U.S. Marshal Services, Gaddy Seralta, who is incredible. Where's Gaddy? Gaddy, you are unbelievable. And I want to thank you for the work. He did a job in Washington. But when I heard Memphis, I said, I want the same guy that did Washington. Because you're going to tell us when you get up which was more difficult, all right? But members are known all over the world as the home of Graceland. You know I'm going to see Graceland after this? I think, is that right? I love Elvis. I never met Elvis. Everyone said, "Did you?" I met them all. I met Sinatra. I knew all of them. I never met Elvis. Sometimes I feel I should tell the little fibs that I knew him well. I love Elvis, but I never met him. But I'm going to go see Graceland after this, I think. I'm sure it's not going to be a very long stay, but I want to see that. But for years prior to our involvement, Memphis had become known for something else, being the murder capital of the USA. Isn't that a good title? It was averaging far more than 1 murder per day, with a crime rate higher than Colombia, Mexico City, or Baghdad. In the year, I shouldn't be saying this, but here's the good news, it's been fixed, all right? I hate to say this because it's so negative, and so negative. In the year before I took office, Memphis saw more than 12,500 violent assaults, 429 rapes, and 7,600 burglaries and armed robberies. And I mean, it was getting worse. This catastrophe was a result of years of local politicians, judges, and prosecutors who sided with violent criminals over law-abiding citizens. Basically, liberals, or now they like to go with the word progressives. You don't hear liberal, they're liberal. I don't like progressive because it's a beautiful word. You know, they use progressive because that's the only thing they're good at, politics, I guess. You know, they're bad at policy because all these policies are bad, but they're great at politics, and they do stick together. They stick together, they're good at politics, but they're bad at policy because they can't sell open borders, they can't sell transgender for everyone, they can't sell men and women's sport, so they can be the greatest politicians in the world, and that's why I'm here instead of them, I guess. But just as we have in D.C., here in Memphis, we've achieved one of the largest, fastest declines in violent crime ever recorded. So that's something, right? Ever recorded. In fact, you're half a percentage point away from the record, so we'll catch them in the next month or two, all right? I think that's going to happen. But that includes a 60% drop in robberies, a 74% drop in carjacking, and motor vehicle thefts. We have always achieved numbers that are good. These numbers are right on line to be among the best that we've done. And wherever we do this, we have very similar results. We were in New Orleans, where the governor called us, as you know, and we went to New Orleans. They just had Mardi Gras. They said it's the first, it sounds terrible, but it's the first Mardi Gras we've ever had where there was no murder. Can you imagine? Doesn't sound too good, but, you know, we're talking about the facts. And they said we had the lowest crime that we've ever had on Mardi Gras, which is almost nothing. We went there about 4 months ago. We did a great job. So we've achieved a 70% reduction in murders from the peak in this place. In total, we've arrested 7,000 criminals, seized more than 1,100 illegal guns, taken more than 1,000 pounds of illicit narcotics, and rescued more than 150 missing children, making their parents beyond happy. So I'd like you to please join me in thanking, I tell you, every single law enforcement hero here today. We have a small number compared to what's doing the job, who helped make Memphis safe again. Memphis, just so you know, with all of the things we said, you have now developed a reputation as a city that's coming back stronger than any city in the country because of what's happened with crime and because your political leaders had the courage to do what they did. So I'd like you to also say a special welcome and hello to the Tennessee National Guard, the Memphis Police Department, ICE, CBP, the ATF, DEA, Homeland Security Investigations, the U.S. Marshals, the Tennessee Highway Patrol, and all of law enforcement. Everybody got together and they said, we're going to make Memphis great again. And they really did. It's so good. But, you know, I talk about how good it is. We're at 75%. Some people say 80, 81%. That still leaves 20%. You're going to be down in another 2 months, 3 months, I think, Daddy. We're going to be down to almost no crime. You're going to be an almost crime-free city. You're going to be so proud of it. People are going to stay. They're going to actually come back because you have everything going, but you have that one horrible cloud over your head. And essentially, people know it's happening, but essentially in another 2 months, you're not going to have anything. You're going to have a virtually crime-free city. So today I'm pleased to announce that the Secretary of War used to be the Secretary of Defense. We made a minor change. We like the sound of it better. That the Secretary of War has just signed a directive to ensure that all National Guard members serving on this task force, as well as in D.C., New Orleans, and our border security missions, will receive the same benefits as active duty troops because you deserve it. That's not bad. That's not bad. So before we leave, I want to thank Attorney General Pam Bondi, Secretary of War Pete Hegseth. These are great people. Chief of the National Guard Bureau General Stephen Nordhaus, FBI Director Kash Patel, wonderful guy, actually. You got to get to know him. Once you get to know him, he's a wonderful guy. I've known him too long, right? He's a good guy. DEA Administrator Terry Cole, what a job he's done. Acting Director of ICE, where's Terry? Good job, Terry. What a job. In Washington, too. Acting Director of ICE, Todd Lyons. Todd, great. Thank you, Todd. Good job. Head of the ATF, Rob Cicada. Rob, thank you, Rob. Head of the Tennessee Highway Patrol, Colonel Matt Perry. Thanks, Matt. And head of the Tennessee National Guard, Major General Warner Ross. How are you? You guys look central casting. These are central casting people. What did you need us for? You didn't need us. Anyway, they had to let you do your job, right? They're letting you do your job now. Thanks as well to Tennessee Governor Bill Lee for the outstanding job. Thank you very much, Bill. We appreciate you, Bill. Bill called me up. He said, we need a little help in Memphis, sir, when you get over here, please. He said, I have no pride. We just want this thing straightened out, right? So thank you very much. I'm glad it worked out. You haven't seen, when you see, in 90 days from now, you're going to see numbers that blow these off. You're down 70, 75%. You're going to see numbers that you're going to be very proud of. Senators Bill Hagerty and Marsha Blackburn. Great people. Great people. You have some real warriors, too, as your congressmen and women. David Kustoff, Andy Ogles, Diana Harshbarger, John Rose, Matt Van Epps, and Chuck Fleischman. Will you all stand up? Warriors all. Everyone. Great, great people. You don't get better. It's not the easiest job, is it? Huh? Speaker of that, you know what I like about them? They're not 3 o'clock in the morning. Sir, I got a call from Mike Johnson, Speaker. Sir, we have a problem. What time is it, Mike? 3 o'clock, sir, morning. We voted 9. We need, it's always the same. You know, it's like 8 or 9. Sir, could you call them for us and see if you can get their vote? 3 o'clock. Call them up. Hey, Jim, how you doing? Hello, sir. I'm not there. I'm not there. Well, you got to get there. 9 o'clock, you got to vote. Sir, could I have a little breakfast so we could discuss this bill? You know, like a perfect bill, like, you know, voter ID or something. The bill did have to be too great to do it. Say, could we have maybe a little breakfast at the White House, sir? So, because I could get there, but I'm just not there. Come on over for breakfast, Bill. You know? I got a lot of them, too. I have about 9 of them. But these are the people we love. These are the people we love. So I want to thank you all. Speaker of the Tennessee House of Representatives, and I hear this guy, I hear he's fantastic. Cameron Sexton, where is he? I have heard such good things about you. And you're working on a very specific bill right now. I know all about you. That's great. Let me know when it's finished. You know, you got to send me a copy, okay? That's great. Thank you, Cameron. You're doing a great job. Shelby County Sheriff Floyd Bonner. Thank you, Floyd. National President of the Fraternal Order of Police. Oh, that's a big one. He gave me his endorsement. Patrick Yost. Where's Patrick? He gave me his endorsement. I said, well, what's your endorsement worth? How many members? He said, sir, we have 490,000 members. I said, that's a good endorsement. Patrick, do you think anybody outside of, within law enforcement, did anybody vote for Kamala that you know of? Don't say it. You're going to get yourself in trouble. Don't say it. But thank you, Pat. That's great. We had an unbelievable, I do believe we got 98, 99% with law enforcement. And why not? President of the National Sheriff's Association, Chris West. Chris, thank you very much. Thank you, Chris. Stand up, Chris. Thank you. Well, why are you so far back there, Chris? You deserve to be in the front row. The National President of the Federal Law Enforcement Officers Association, Matt Silverman. Great guy, too. All great guys, all guys we know. All guys, thank you, Matt. They're all guys that supported me, Pam, every one of them. For years, our leaders allowed entire cities in America to be destroyed by crime, drugs, and gang violence. Tolerating this violence was always a choice. 19 of the 20 most dangerous cities in America are run by Democrats. I'm surprised I thought it was 20 of 20. I don't know why it's 19. I don't believe it. It's like, I heard it was 25 out of 25. Well, I'll find out about it because I don't believe it's right. Whoever wrote that statistic is wrong. But under the Trump administration, we believe that no city or neighborhood should be left behind. In Memphis, the crime became so horrible that residents were made prisoners of violence in their own community, in their own home. But with the help of the great people right here at this table and right here, it's a whole different story right now. It's changing fast, and it'll be record-setting in a very short period of time, and I'll be here to celebrate it with you. You know, it's a very special state to me. I won this state, Bill, by numbers that nobody's ever won it before. We have the all-time record for votes. So I happen to like the state. I love Tennessee. Maybe someday I'll move to Tennessee. I might have to move. No, I love it. You never know what that is. You know, you just have a relationship with the state. It's a lot safer than relationships with other things, I can tell you as a politician. But I especially want to thank Speaker Sexton, who's working with the task force to pass model bills that will be toughen crime, to deliver permanent safety to the people of Memphis. And really, I don't know if you know, but they're looking at this all over the country, what you're doing. They're studying it. That's why I know your name so well. And all over the country, they're studying it. And so I hope you do a great job, as simple as you can, and as complex in the sense of we want to be tough. We want to be strong on crime, because that's the thing. We want to have heart. We want to have fairness, but we have to be tough, because some of these people are bad people that should have never been allowed to be here. Since I took office, we have successfully arrested or removed from the country over 500,000 hard-line criminals. And under our leadership last year, the murder rate nationwide saw the single largest decline ever recorded to the lowest level in 125 years. That's something. That's something. And this is despite the fact that they allowed 25 million people into our country. Many of those people should never have been allowed into our country. So now I'd like to ask Director Gadi Seralta, who's really a special guy. And I've lived with him because of Washington, D.C. I saw what he did. But to say a few words, and congratulations for what you've done everywhere. But today we're only interested in one place, Memphis, Tennessee. Thank you very much, Gadi.
Thank you, Mr. President. Thank you very much. So good morning to you, and thank you, Mr. President. Today we celebrate the successes of this incredible mission and all our federal, state, local, and National Guard teammates who have contributed mightily to the Memphis Safe Task Force. Mr. President, it is an honor to be entrusted by you to lead this amazing task force as Director of the United States Marshal Service.
Yeah.
Your decisiveness in responding to state and local leaders' requests for federal assistance is inspiring. It was just over 6 months ago when you signed the executive order restoring law and order in Memphis. At that point, the city of Memphis was overwhelmed with unprecedented levels of violent crime, to include some of the nation's highest per capita rates of murder, robbery, and aggravated assault. Memphis residents could not safely enjoy a walk downtown. Parents were fearful of their children playing outside, and local businesses struggled to prosper. The mission you gave us was clear and concise. Crime will not prevail in Memphis, period. The city will not be surrendered to lawlessness. President Trump, thank you for your leadership. We had a blueprint, quickly restoring order and reducing violent crime, given our success with Operation Make DC Safe and Beautiful, as you mentioned. We began our deployment to Memphis and commenced operations on September 29, 2025 with 20 partner agencies and 200 task force members. Now we partner with 33 multi-agency teams throughout the Memphis area. We have the support of over 2,700 officers and National Guard members who comprise the Memphis Safe Task Force, most of which are out here in the audience. In just over 6 months, the Memphis Safe Task Force has made over 7,342 arrests, this is last week's numbers, with charges ranging from homicide, there was 44 of those, 94 drug offenses, 812 drug offenses, and 757 gang-related offenses.
So,
We have seized over 1,200 illegal firearms and located and returned 150 missing children. Each of these arrests and seizures of illegal contraband have a ripple effect, bringing justice to victims, relief to communities, and the prevention of future offenses or deadly accidents. Our work, however, has not just been about arrests and the seizure of illegal firearms and narcotics. Our Tennessee National Guard partners have made a significant impact while serving on the task force by administering several life-saving doses of Narcan to overdose victims, chasing down and detaining a fleeing murder suspect on Christmas Day, and providing immediate life-saving medical aid to the occupants of a vehicle collision on I-40. That's just a few of the things they've done. Similarly, our Health and Human Services Tactical Med, we call them TACMed, they're our doctors. Their team has treated almost 500 task force officers and related injuries during our operations. The fraud cell, the Memphis Safe Task Force Fraud Cell, has been a key contributor in targeting federal benefits fraud, organized crime, and other complex fraud matters. The Fraud Cell has more than 80 open investigations, 33 cases active with the United States Attorney's Office. Their recent efforts have resulted in 2 indictments of convicted sex offenders living in housing paid for by Housing and Urban Development, and 1 indictment for stealing benefits from a Social Security beneficiary. I would also like to recognize the work of Attorney General Bondi's incredible staff at the Western District of Tennessee. Their stats tell a remarkable story as well. They have increased the number of defendants charged by 221%, and the number of cases indicted by 204%, when compared to the same operational period last year. I see you smiling, Mike. Congratulations. Without question, the public safety outlook in Memphis has improved dramatically. In the past 6 months collectively, our efforts have resulted in a 43% reduction in total serious crimes, 37% reduction in murder, 40% reduction in sexual assault, 56% reduction in robbery, 68% reduction in motor vehicle thefts, and the most impressive of all is a 65% increase in the solvability of the crimes that have been committed. These numbers are so impressive that it's often easy to just recite them without reflecting on significant positive impact that we have had on the lives of Memphis residents. The city's residents and visitors are now more likely to venture downtown, and our local businesses are rallying back. Large-scale public events have shown improved safety outcomes, as demonstrated during the December 6, 2025 St. Jude Marathon, where 22,000 runners gathered without a single reported downtown burglary, compared to multiple incidents in the prior year. Perhaps the most telling of all is one of our Special Assistant United States Attorneys recently reported that a traveling emergency room doctor, expressed his appreciation for all that the task force had done. You see, he said that in years past he would see 3 to 5 gunshot victims per shift, and now he sees an average of 1 gunshot victim every 3 or 4 shifts. Mr. President, the Memphis Safe Task Force underscores one simple truth: when federal, state, and local agencies work together as genuine partners, we can reclaim even the most troubled cities. I am extremely grateful to you for the opportunity. To all our partner agencies, it has been an honor to work alongside you, and I look forward to sustaining and building on these partnerships as we continue to make Memphis safe again. Thank you.
Thank you, Getty, very much.
Okay, we get ready to end this.
And Pam, I think, thank you, what a great job, and I think, I see them sitting out there, your U.S. Attorney and your Assistant U.S. Attorney. You do a great job. Would you please stand up? Michael Donovan, Thank you, Michael. Thank you both. Great job. Thank you. Pam Bondi, please.
Thank you, President Trump. Some people choose to tolerate crime, but you chose law and order. And that's why this task force worked. It was all of us, as Gowdy said, working hand in hand with my FBI, DEA, U.S. Marshals, ATF, with Cash, with Terry, with Rob, with Gowdy. Not only that, with Pete, with Department of War, with Homeland Security, with all of my agencies working hand in hand with the National Guard. When you went out there, when we came to Memphis, you could not tell who was with what agency because everyone was working so well together. Our U.S. Attorney, Mike Donovan, was out there. And not only does everyone needs to know, we met with this president multiple times about this endeavor. The president knew what was going on here. The president cared. People like Alice Johnson sitting in the front row, who is a Memphis resident, she told us what a horrible crime problem there was. And I think the unsung hero in all of this is Stephen Miller. Stephen is the architect of making all of these plans work.
Jesus.
Stephen, thank you.
That little demon.
Thank you. And just two very brief examples. There was a horrible murderer, Arsenio Davis, who last October committed a gruesome double homicide. He killed his mother and dismembered another person. And based on this task force working hand in hand, he's off the street. Another example, a horrible monster who's charged with raping a small child. This task force, all of these members working together, arrested him. We can give you countless examples of that. Over 770 gang members off the streets. And we know there's no normal day for a law enforcement officer. We know it's so dangerous what our law enforcement officers do. But know this, Donald Trump and this administration, we have your backs. Thank you all, and thank you, President Trump. Thank you.
Thank you, Ben. And Pete Hegseth, who has been unbelievable at what he's doing, is nobody better. It was a wise choice. Pete, go ahead.
Well, thank you, Mr. President. Thank you for your...
I'm sorry, I can't listen to Pete Hegseth. I just think of him as Fox News, and he's an actor. But it's a lot that's been going on. And like President Trump said that the things that's going on in Iran is worldwide because it affects all other nations. Like God said, there'd be rumors and rumors of wars. I think the rumors are the worst because while the United States is focusing on Iran, and then we help supply weapons and everything and money to Ukraine, like $350 billion, that's depleting our military. So in Taiwan, when President Xi decide to take action on Taiwan, are we ready for that? Because they're the third largest power in the world. And right now, Russia is working with Iran. They're talking about the strait, what is called Hokul, or what is strait, and all these different things are going on. It's a lot going on that's ricocheting around the world. They're bombing gas fields, and they're bombing different places that affect all of us. So, but when I listen to that big problem that we have, and hopefully it's going to resolve sooner than later, this war that the United States and Israel is waging against Iran, hopefully the rest of the world see the danger that our president sees and that Israel sees, because at the end of the day, Israel, they're God's people. And it's already written about the Israelites. So I'm just looking at the Bible unfold before my eyes in 2026. But the things that's happening in this country, like he's calling it the Memphis Tennessee, I don't like who's behind all this. Someone who isn't elected. That's what grieves my spirit, is that 2 million black men voted for President Trump to be in office. The Democrats have been doing the black community dirty ever since the Civil Rights Act, when they filibustered it for 70 days, and it was the Republicans who were the ones that were pushing actually the Civil Rights Act. But my problem now is that now we have the same assault that's still going on. Either it's the Democrat Party or now it's the Republican Party. And the Republican Party have not been the party that were doing all of the horrific things against the black community. It was the Democrat Party. But now you got people inside lurking behind the President of the United States, such as Stephen Miller and Elon Musk, that they don't even hide their racism. It's coming through their pores. They could never get elected as president of the United States, but they don't have to get elected. All they have to do is have the ear of the president, which they do. And as far as they are concerned, black people are the enemy. And that's a big issue. When they talk about Memphis, there are 13 states or whatever, or 10 red states that have a higher crime rate than Chicago, but they're in Memphis, and you're saying you arrested 770 gang members. They weren't out there just committing crimes. Nobody's going to commit a crime with authority there. So they are literally going out there just looking for anyone this complexion to arrest. How you arrest over 7,200 people? They are not actively robbing people. No one in their right mind is actively doing these things, but they are actively locking up, as usual, black men, and they're saying you're safer. That playbook has been played so many times that I'm so tired of it. I'm tired of it. I'm tired of it. I understand the border, and we had non-citizens cross the border who were let out through prisons at the rate of like up to 12 million convicted murderers, up to how many rapists? 1,000 rapists, and over 11,000 up to 12,000 murderers. I understand that's a concern. I understand that we have 300 terrorists that are here. I understand we got Trinidad and Raga. I never even heard these names, MS-13 gangs. And we have all these atrocities that have entered into this country, and the FBI don't even know where they all are. They don't even know where they at, but they probably are in blue states, where they are being protected by citizens of this country. We have issues that now that we shouldn't have to deal with, and it's because of the previous administration, because they wanted a voter block, because they got the black vote on lockdown, so they don't have to give us reparations. They said instead of giving reparations, doing right by black people, they're going to vote for us no matter what. They don't look at policies. They don't even pay attention that we don't do shit for them. They just know the Republicans are the enemy. That's all you got to let them think. The Republicans would do more harm than them. But the Republicans haven't done more harm than them. They are the fucking Ku Klux Klan from Pulaski, Tennessee. Excuse me, guys. I'm angry. They're the ones that filibuster the Civil Rights Act. They're the ones that Jim Crow. They're the ones that did mass incarceration of black people. It wasn't the Republicans. But now the Republicans that came into office that haven't had this visceral towards black people like this, because Trump in first administration had the First Step Act. He was helping black people that was unjustly put in prison. Him and Kushner worked out, and they had it passed through Congress, which Obama didn't do, the First Step Act. He was giving more to HBCUs without them asking money. He was working along with black people and had the highest employment rate under his first administration. But now I can't tell the difference between the Democrat and the Republican Party. I can't tell the difference because they're doing the same thing. So you're in Memphis looking up, and you got Stephen Miller. Look at his videos and the things he says. He is not even hiding how racist. It's like venom come out. The man is, look, dude, you come from a black woman, okay? Everything you hate is because actually he must be some kind of coward. To feel like he got to step on somebody else's neck to be big. He's a little man trying to wield somebody else's power against the American people. people that elected this president. I understand he got issues with, what's her name? Tisha or whatever from New York. Yeah, James. What's her name? Yeah, Tisha James from New York. Because she went after him. And Fannie Willis from Georgia. Those people that attacked Trump, he's a revengeful person, period. Not just president, he's revengeful. But he puts all black women in the same boat. You know who Elon went after? Black women. You know who was laid off from the federal government? Black women by the hundreds of thousands. How do you just lay off or fire one geographic group of people from a federal job? It was black women that was assaulted. What, 500,000? Are you kidding me? Not 500,000 women, 500,000 black men and women, or 500,000 men. No, it wasn't like that. That was targeted. So when I hear them talk about, oh, people were scared, white women not fragile. He talking about white women. They're not scared to walk down the street, go to a restaurant. They tougher than the average person I see out here. This is not the 1800s. This is 2026. They listen to rap and they marrying black men at a rapid rate right now, as far as I can see. There's no fear in them. But they want to portray like people couldn't go to restaurants. Who's safe? Am I safer? You talking about black women? We safer? Because there's crime everywhere. It doesn't matter if you can get robbed in Beverly Hills just like you can get robbed in Harlem, New York. It doesn't matter where you are. I learned that the hard way. I thought because I'm in a environment that's wealthy that I was safe. Guess where I got robbed at? First time and the only time in my life was when I had my guard down because I thought my environment dictated what crime should look like. And that didn't present crime. So I'm tired of it. Let me put this devil on. This dude.
History, and the largest number of criminals arrested, removed, or deported in American history, all done in 1 year. If I would just say this, if we had an honest media in this country, the statistics I just gave you would be 24/7 on the news. Nobody could have ever predicted such an achievement would be possible. The second thing I want to thank President Trump for is assembling the greatest national security and public safety team in American history. Because President Trump believes in merit, in competence, in people.
See, he got Trump. The way Stephen Miller operates, all you got to do is keep kissing Trump's ring. Keep telling him how wonderful he is and a great job. When he's writing the policy, he's writing the speeches, and he's using Trump's position for his own personal agenda. That's who Stephen Miller is. He's like a wolf in sheep clothing.
It was impossible. If you had said 15 months ago that we would achieve the lowest national murder rate, not in 5 years or 10 years or 15 or 20 or 30 or 40, but in 125 years, nobody would have believed it possible. And President Trump did exactly that, and it is a miracle.
Kiss the ring. Don't believe these numbers.
Just think about this for a second. Under President Trump's leadership, the largest reduction in murders in American history, the largest reduction in violent crime in American history, the largest reduction in drug overdose deaths in American history, the largest reduction in fentanyl in American history, the largest reduction in illegal immigration in American history, and the largest number of criminals arrested, removed, or deported in American history, all done in 1 year. If I would just say this, if we had an honest media in this country, the statistics I just gave you would be 24/7 on the news. Nobody could have ever predicted such an achievement would be possible.
He's a worm.
The second thing I want to thank President Trump for is assembling the greatest national security and public safety team in American history.
He's running the country.
Because President Trump believes in merit, in competence, in people who get things done. So you look around the table of who President Trump chose for these jobs. You start with Rob or Gaddy or Pam or Pete, Cash, Todd, Terry, the whole entire team. What President Trump put together has never been rivaled in history. That's how you get things done. He chooses people based on their skill, their competence, their ability, their determination,
Pure
their
racist.
dedication, and their loyalty, and you're seeing the results. So I just want to again thank President Trump, and of course thank the governor as well, who picked up that phone, called President Trump, and said, I want you to help make Memphis safe, although I bet the governor would agree. He could never have imagined this safe, this quickly, this many people behind bars. And let's just remember
Slave labor.
that because of the
That's how he get
because
it.
of the work that President Trump is doing, not only in Memphis, not only in Washington, D.C., but all over the country, ultimately, it will save and is saving tens of thousands of American lives. It is, I'll use that word again, what President Trump has done on border security and public safety is a national miracle that will be studied not only for generations, but
We're
for
gonna
centuries
study
to
your
come.
ass.
Thank you, President Trump.
Thank you, Steve.
We're gonna study his ass. I could go along with President Trump on a lot of issues, but who you have around you makes a difference, especially if they can influence who you are. It matters who your friends are. It matters who you hang around. All these things matter. And I don't like Steve Miller because he's not for all Americans. He can't get beyond his racist ideologies. I mean, the man is so damn disgusting. And the problem is, all you got to do is tell Trump how wonderful he is, how great he is. And they know how to get him to go along. They give him whatever numbers that they think that sound great, that he wants to hear. Keep patting on you. You doing such a great job, Mr. President. You're the best president ever. You're better than George Washington. That's how they get Trump. All you gotta do is tell Trump how wonderful he is. If the world knows it. All they know, play like when he went over to Saudi Arabia, the Crown Prince. They played his favorite songs like what is it? YMCA and Proud to Be American, all of that. And complimented him on how they had everything that he liked. They know how to swoo him.
Wow.
Yes.
Someone said, do you support Trump or not? Last time I was here, you and your son were talking about black people that support Trump.
What I do, I support what's right. Just because you don't have to agree, understand this, people. You don't have to agree with people you support with everything they do. Do you have that understanding? I support Trump in things that's positive, and I don't support Trump in things that are negative. That's what I didn't support that crap that Biden did. And I campaigned for him. But I didn't know what the outcome was going to be. I didn't know when I was canvassing, phone banking, doing speeches, doing rallies, representing hundreds of thousands of people, that the whole agenda was to open up the border, to flood the border for a new voter base for the Democrats that they're still fighting for. I had no idea that was the agenda. I thought they were going to do stuff for all Americans. And especially since the black community for over 400 years still have been neglected and still don't have the rights and that we should have, and still want to be the face of everything. Anytime it's crime, they try to put us as a face. We're not the face of crime. But all they got to do is make you believe that. Show you a black, yeah, they're black people, but they're not showing you all the cop killings that's being done by white men. They don't show you that. They don't show you who the pedophiles. They don't show you who commits the highest crime. But it's all strategically done for us. I believed it. I was watching mainstream media. I believed everything they said. Everything. But now, because of Trump, I know that there's a lot of fake news. And I don't mean that his administration is exempt from it. What I don't like is Trump, the first time he ran, he was for all the people. He was even for the black community. He was doing more for the black community than goddamn Obama did.
And we talked about how black people just vote for Democrat without looking at
Yeah, black people we just vote straight down ballot. I was one Democrat. They kept making promises and we're expecting a different result. Like, we're expecting a different result. And that's called insanity. They keep saying the same thing over and over again, and we think, okay, this president or this time they're gonna do differently, and they don't. All they did was put Megan Thee Stallion up there and Cardi B and Beyonce giving a speech and have giving abortions at a freaking Democratic National Convention. I've never heard of anything like that in my life. And I went to the previous DNC. You know, I was on the floor. You can't just be there unless you have credentials, which I did, and on the floor. You know, so it's just crazy. But when I see people so manipulated in these positions that have the ear of the president, is dangerous. It's dangerous. That the ones who's writing the speeches, Stephen Miller, the ones that's putting their vitriol because they're so racist and they want to keep black people down because of their own fear. I don't know what it is. But look this man up. I had no idea until I started seeing all this stuff about who he is.
This was one of the first times he was in the spotlight, Stephen Miller.
Yeah, he's in the spotlight. He's appointed. He's not elected. I like Trump without him. I like Trump without Elon Musk. Didn't you see once Trump got elected, that Elon Musk, he shadowed him like he was the vice president until he got angry. And you know all the jobs that Elon got rid of, it was black women. That's what Doge did. I like Trump without these negative influences. And he mentioned Jesus at this conference. You know, he mentioned him. Jesus, the King of Kings, Lord of Lords. Nobody's above God. And guess what? I'm not beholden to man. I'm beholden to Jesus. I don't serve man. I serve God. And I want what's right, regardless of the party. And people feel like if you say something you don't agree with that person, that's like a disloyalty. It's not disloyal. You don't go along with everyone in your household. You go along with everything your wife says, everything your boss says, everything your kids say, everything your neighbor says. Nobody goes along with everything that someone says. And it should be challenged when it's not right. It should be challenged. Yeah, and for him, like, Jesus loved Trump. Yes, Jesus loves Trump. Jesus loves all of us. His son didn't just die for people who think they righteous. Because you can't get to heaven through your good works. You got to go through the son. The blood covers all of us. And he got to give his life to Christ. Somebody's working on that heart for him to even mention Jesus. So I hope he start following the Lord, our Savior, instead of Stephen Miller. Or Elon Musk. He mentioned like Jesus.
Wow.
I was like, okay, Trump. He mentioned here. But he got that faith-based group, that fake Pastor Paula White. They're not doing their job. They need to be ministering to him. He needs to be ministering. Trump, you know who he likes praying for him? Black pastors. He wants black people to pray. He likes the way black people pray because it goes down into him, root him out. It goes into his spirit. He don't like that soft, like, he want to hear prayer, like a prayer warrior. Y'all ever heard of prayer warriors? Prayer warriors, they pray the house down. They pray to kingdom come, thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. So it matters who he surrounds himself with. And as long as they're in Memphis, like celebrating, somehow, they randomly locking up people or what they're doing. You only mentioned 770 supposedly gang members. They're not out there just committing crimes. If you know the law is there, I'm telling you, no person is going to be committing crimes, especially when the law is. So how did you arrest these people? And but they arrested over 7,200. 7,200. And now the whole city, 44 people out committed homicide. But how you get 7,000 and over 200 something people? How do you get those numbers that committed serious crimes? 44? Which is horrible, but you're talking about a whole city, 44. You go any city, go any red state, and the numbers are higher than that. But you happen to be in a blue state that's 61% black. That's intentional. Black. This has been going on forever. Locking up black men, keep the birth rate down, put Planned Parenthood in the neighborhoods, allow the men to be raped in jail, they become homosexual, they come out and back into society, then they committing molestation and rapes of in their communities. So the cycle is going on now. Black men is not known to be of that nature. They put them in jail and made them that, giving them these over sentencing. They do a petty crime. There's something they should get probation. They got 20 years. You got 30 years. $9. You stole $9. This has happened for real. 40 years in jail. Slave labor. While these people sit down with a double agenda against God's people and act like in front of our faces that no one elected to office. No one elected them. Trump was elected to office. And now we're fighting Iran. They want to put boots on the ground. They want to send 20,000 Marines, boots on the ground. So now he was worrying about lives being lost in Ukraine and Russia, white men, young white men, all ages now, because they just grabbing people off the street at this point. But now you're sending our young teenagers and stuff coming out of high school, our young men and women. And you're talking about boots on the ground, where they got landfills, landmines, all this kind of stuff. That's their land. So if they do that, it's escalating. And guess what? Russia is involved. They support Iran. Guess what? China is involved. All these other great powers of the world, the second and third, they are involved. There's a lot going on. Didn't they just bomb somewhere, I think in the UK? It's a lot that's going on. So we got to be mindset that you don't have to, just because you support someone, you don't have to blindly support them and push down everything that's not right. Call everything out, irregardless if it's a Democrat president, if it's a Republican president, whether you voted for them or not, or support them or not, call them out. Hold their feet to the fire. How are they going to be better men and women to represent our country if we don't call them out? You have to hold people accountable. You have to call them out. And Trump would be a better president if he had people around him that cared more about American citizens than their own personal prejudices. It would be a better country. He would be a better president. Some things he's really trying. But he got people in his ear that wants him to be racist. He does. They label DEI like black people's a Facebook when black people are the least hired in a diversity, equity, inclusion job. It's white women. You know who's DEI? Pam Bondi, Tulsi. What he got rid of? What's her name? Pam Noam or whatever? Those are DEI, white women. But they'll show you black people when we got to be graduate at the top of our classes, work harder to prove ourselves that we are as great as we are. When we know it and they know it. But as long as we don't believe it, then that's how they win. And we don't recognize our own greatness. No one would try as hard to suppress a people unless they can see our greatness. So Trump, I think he would be a much better president if he didn't have people like that in his ear. Because then America can be great. Not great again. No, then America could possibly be great. But right now, we got a lot going on, and then we got this implosion going inside this country. We're weakening ourselves inside the country and outside the country. How are we going to survive all of this? The implosion is going on inside the country and outside the country. And he's supposed to juggle all of this. And guess what? They're doing the briefings. They're doing the speech writing. They're telling him stuff that they believe in, and he's going along with it. Because they're supposed to tell him what's right. But they're going by their own personal feelings. I don't know what's going to happen. But we can't, the United States is not going to survive if we don't know how to learn how to come together. You know, when our young people start going over there and losing their lives by greater numbers than he anticipated, and all this stuff, listening to Pete Hegseth, that I don't even know if he knows what he's doing. To me, he seemed to be lost himself. He doesn't come off as a strong leader. He's not. He's trying to, he's acting, he's performing. And everybody that Trump has around him have their own agenda. They're already worrying about they've been worrying about 2028 since he got elected in 2024, November 2024. And they worrying about 2028 instead of worrying about the present time and all that's happening now in our country and outside of our country. And America and Americans, we better wake the hell up. We better wake up. And Trump, you got to pray for him. Whether you like him or not, agree with him or not, because God is greater than all of this. God can reach, you don't have to go to the White House or go, to Congress to get your point across. You could pray from where you're at, and that prayer can reach further than any action of Congress. You got to pray for this man, because he got some imps around him that mean us no good. And I think that he would be a much better president if he had people around him that he could see who he is, that God put him in that position. He was appointed at a time like this. God is the one that promotes. He wouldn't be there if God didn't want him. That bullet would have taken him out in Butler, Pennsylvania. And that would have been the end of it. And Biden would have won, because he wouldn't have had to do a debate. And the history would be a lot different right now. The borders still be open. I don't know, Russia would have taken over by now, and China would be declaring like they the world power leader instead of the United States. Because Biden wasn't equipped, and neither was Kamala to be commander in chief. So we got a lot to work on, but that does not mean that you got to be loyal to all actions. You should be concerned who's more around the president of the United States. Because I see he doesn't sleep. I see that he works hard. He's trying. He takes all questions. He's transparent. He doesn't hide. He doesn't talk from a teleprompter. He addressed media that he disliked with all his heart, and he still takes questions. So I give him credit for that. But some of the things he's doing is not good, So you just got to weigh everything and pray for him, because right now it's only one president at a time, and it's President Trump. So that's why we put this on here. It's not like we're not puppets. We don't go along with everything. We talk about the Democratic Party. We talk about the Republican Party. I just want somebody to be in office that's for the people, for Americans. Because right now the Democratic Party are not for Americans. They're for non-citizens. They represent non-citizens. They do not represent Americans, even though we elected them into office. The Republican Party has switched up. They're not the party of Mitt Romney and Mike Pence and the previous dinosaurs or whatever that was in the Republican Party. People like who ran for president before that passed away. Oh, I see his face. I can't think of his name. John McCain. John McCain he would have been I think he would have been a good president, because even when they tried to talk about Obama at one of his town halls, he said, no, we're not going to say that about him. That's a man of character and integrity. We need Republicans that have integrity, period. And we got to find out who's in the next election is going to be the best person for this country. But the Republicans of the past, like the John McCains and people like that, I don't know, where are they? Because the people that are now holding these offices, and the people Trump has around him are yes men and people with their own agenda. And that's not good for anyone to have someone around you that's not telling you the truth. And he's relying heavily on them, and they keep telling him and giving him these numbers that he's not checking. He don't know if they're true or right, but who are they arresting? What's going on? Steve Miller is happy because he's arresting as many black people as his heart desire. And that's what he wants. That's his wish. And it's sad that this person is wielding power that wasn't granted to him by the American people. So anyway, you guys, thanks for joining us. I'm going to come back on. I want to do another video. But this is like, you know how you supported someone, voted for someone, and then, you just watching the ceiling fall? Like, it's really hurtful more than anything. A lot of black people trust Trump. That's why he had the highest black vote, I think, since Reagan, or more than Reagan. Because black people actually had trusted Trump to be slapped in the face by these other people that have positioned themselves around him. So that's that's not good. So anyway, you guys, thanks for hitting the like. Thanks for joining us. God bless you. Catch us on the next slide. This is Speak the Truth 2.0. I had Speak the Sports, and I had Pray to All Here. Those are my other two channels. And on here, I know it hurts my viewership at times, but I cannot, because the Christ in me. I have to say what's in my heart. I have to speak the truth. I have no choice. I'm not going to sugarcoat. I can't. I'm like, oh, don't say that, because like the president said, well, are you for Trump? Y'all, I'm for the president because he's the president of the United States of America. But we gotta pray for him. We gotta support him because it affects all of us. There's nothing we can do about it. You can hate him all you want to, but that's not going to accomplish a damn thing, because he got people around him that are pushing their agenda onto the American people, and that's dangerous for all of us. So just like, these strikes and this war and all that, we got to look at who's pushing all of this and why. Why now? Why are they pushing all of this? So anyway, God bless you guys. Thanks for joining us. See you in the next live, and peace out. Don't forget to hit the like, share, subscribe.